The following podcast is improvised satire and all characters are fictional.
My first guest is the CEO of MoonPit Limited, the research and development firm dedicated to eventual open pit mineral mining of our nearest celestial body. He hopes to be the first to market in the extraction and sale of such elements as aluminum, titanium, beryllium, and lithium. On weekends, he collects Garfield plushies. Please welcome Jared Thunk. Hi, Jared.
Hey, pleasure to be here, Dean.
Wow.
What a treat.
What a treat. And this is so exciting. Your whole eventual goal is you're really looking toward the future here. Open pit mining of minerals on the moon.
That's right. We're going to take from her.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You call her a her, huh?
She's a lady. She's a gal.
She's a gal.
She's a mother and she's a host, probably to more than just minerals, honestly.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. What are the things you think she's a host to?
Well, I think there's, good reason to believe that this planet and this solar system is being visited regularly.
I see.
And if the moon's not a hub for something, I'd be surprised.
Okay. So you're one of those who believes that maybe we've had contact with other beings out there in the universe.
Oh, please, for years.
Yeah.
For years. The evidence is everywhere.
And that maybe the moon is some kind of base for those entities, yeah?
Well, it's probably an artificially created planet, honestly.
Oh, you think so? Yeah. So
no, so I hate to say no, so because there's always we could always be a brain in a vat, and everything could be a simulation. But
sure.
Based off of just generally how I feel.
Yeah.
I would say I know so.
That's interesting that you would say how I feel. I know so. When you essentially created a research and development firm to do science on what might be up there that you could extract from the moon. So I don't mean a lot of men of science who think and feel things that haven't been scientifically demonstrated.
Well, Dean, I'm sorry to hear that. I feel like maybe you're hanging around some of the wrong scientists.
That's possible. I suppose that's possible. So your whole goal is you want to be first to get to the really valuable things on the moon. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The moon, she's got a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And she can, nurse this planet back to its little baby needs that we've pillaged so far. And she's there for us.
That's so interesting to me because I know a lot of people tend to criticize what you're trying to do here by saying
who's criticizing this?
Well, the lefties in the media and all that want to say, hey, why don't we rather than extracting more stuff out of another body in the solar system, maybe come up with some kind of renewable way to get what we need. But you're saying
that's upsetting to me. I think the more people we could get up there and the more they could just have space ice cream, Neapolitan space ice cream.
Yeah, everyone loves
when they're up there. I think we're going to change hearts and then minds.
Yeah. So sure, you're talking about two different things here. We're talking about space tourism, which of course is a thing, and I'm sure you're into that as well. But also, you're looking to truck some of these valuable minerals back to Earth for sale, essentially for your own capitalist intentions. So, what are the challenges associated with that? With mining on the moon, and you can't just put it in a dump truck,
Yeah, well, we call it lightning rods from God. And basically what we do is we have the ability to compress these elements on the moon, and we get them out of orbit and into the Earth's orbit, and they free fall. So it's actually a 2-time mining process because they will free fall to wherever they land on the Earth, and then we have to go to that location on the Earth and mine them out of the crater they've created.
Wow.
But it's a lot more economical than building engines and systems to send it all back.
Right. Or
rods from God.
Or solar panels or wind turbines.
Wind turbines don't work in space, Dean.
Oh,
there's no wind in space.
Point taken. So I guess what I'm hearing is that you're going to mine it all out of the ground on the moon, put it in some kind of a projectile, shoot it back into the Earth. It's going to create a big crater. You're going to have to go splunking for that. You're going to have to mine it a second time, essentially. Yeah.
Caving.
Yes,
caving.
So you have to.
Spelunking is what people say who don't cave.
Yeah. Okay.
Caving.
I didn't realize. So I didn't realize. I'm learning so much. So that open pit mining that everyone says is so destructive to the environment, you're essentially doing on the moon and on Earth for this process. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. You recapped that perfectly.
It's just going to clear cut the whole thing. And so I know, there's of course, obviously the Outer Space Treaty that essentially says no one owns the moon. You can't put nuclear weapons on the moon. Doesn't say
they say that about Antarctica too, don't they,
though.
Dean? They say that about Antarctica.
Right.
Both places where there's alien bases. Isn't that surprising?
Oh, are there? I didn't know that either.
Oh yeah, we have been in agreements since Eisenhower about what spaces we are not allowed to own, and the moon and Antarctica are the two bases,
right?
For our contacts, our earthly contacts.
Right. Now that doesn't
or non-earthly contacts.
so that
here's the thing: is we don't know if they're ultra-dimensional or if they're extra-dimensional.
Explain the difference. I don't know what the difference is between those two things.
Ultra-dimensional means they're coming from another dimension, Dean. An alternative dimension, if you will. Extra-dimensional is just for fun. And extraterrestrial is, I think you know what that one is, outer space.
Sure.
The idea that they're moving from point A to point B in space is an assumption we made for so long, when they could actually just be here amongst us the whole time.
Right, yeah.
Our senses are not dialed in to experience the full breadth of reality.
I see.
And so some could say we were genetically engineered to not experience certain entities around us.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because there's stuff, there are patterns of light and everything that a snake can see that we cannot. So who knows? Maybe there's...
And they could taste that light with their tongue, Dean.
Sure, yeah. I don't know if that's true or not, but it does seem like you have a lot of hunches about scientific things that I had never heard before. Where does this information come from?
Well, the place all information comes from. Other people who've done in-depth studies.
Great. And you do have a research and development team at your company doing these sorts of in-depth studies. I assumed it was just having to do with the minerals of value on the moon, but are you also having them do extraterrestrial, interdimensional research and development in that company?
Well, it's not something we like to talk about because we are concerned that the more we broadcast it, the less bites and nibbles we'll get. It's like disturbing a pond right before you want to go fishing. And so these extraterrestrial beings, they want to not be known, obviously, broadly, but they want to be known more intimately and personally. And so I try to veer away from talking about the agreements we may have and the tactics we use to communicate with those beings, those entities.
Interesting. So if I'm reading between the lines correctly, it seems as though you're not concerned about getting permission from humans who in order to do your mining on the moon, but you may want to sort of grease the skids diplomatically with any extraterrestrial life that may be there before you go start mining. Is that a fair assessment?
You read perfectly through the lines, Dean.
Well, I'm never blessed with a compliment like that, so I appreciate it. Usually I'm way behind, so I appreciate it.
It is funny. There are people who go as far as to say is MoonPit Ltd is just a cover story for an operation that allows us to conversate with those entities. Now, I think that's silly because I think we all know how practical it is to mine the moon for what she has to offer us. There's no reason we can't be doing both at the same time.
Sure. Yeah, just because a spy organization is their cover is some kind of diplomatic entity doesn't mean they're not doing good diplomatic work in addition to espionage. Does that make sense?
No.
I
missed that. I think I stopped listening for a second.
That makes sense. Most people do when I start analogizing. So the moon. So
Dean, can I ask you this?
Sure.
I think this is going to feel more relatable to you and your listeners if I just ask you a simple question.
Oh, okay, sure.
And I ask you, have you ever laid in your bed at night and started doing holotropic breathing?
No. I don't even know what that is.
And at the same time, listen to the 60 hertz audio. The first one that pops up on YouTube. It's got about 2 million views.
Like the binaural audio is what you're saying.
Binaural 60 hertz. If you have done that, which I'm sure many of your listeners have, we already probably have some base level understanding of what it means to be connected and silence the radio dial of our own thoughts and let it tune in to the AM, FM of the universe.
Interesting. I've never done exactly that thing, and I'm going to do that when I put my head down on my pillow tonight. Why mine traditional finite materials from the moon when that seems like almost, I mean, that's 100-year-old technology, if not more. And it seems like you're looking to the future and to greater enlightenment and greater technologies. Why are we still fixating on the sort of old technologies of mining finite resources?
Well, Dean, it's news to me that for 100 years we've been mining the moon.
Oh no! I mean,
surprised.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant mooning the Earth. I mean mooning, not mooning the Earth. Sorry.
Oh, we've been already mining the Earth.
I said mooning. I don't know why I said that. Mining the Earth.
Mooning the Earth. Oh, okay. Why mine it? Well, do you like your cell phone, Dean? Can I ask you that?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Well, do you want aluminum, beryllium, and rutherfordium in your cell phone?
Rutherfordium? Was that name?
Rutherfordium?
Was that name for Rutherford B. Hayes?
That's correct.
Okay, I hadn't heard of that one. So,
oh, you haven't studied the elements on the periodic table, Dean?
No, I definitely have not. And so,
see, this is you mentioned early on in the show, like your scientist friends who aren't giving hugs and aren't having personality or touching each other.
I think you said I wasn't hanging out with the right scientist. I think that's what I didn't say. I had
you said people who couldn't feel anything with their heart and only thought with their minds.
Oh, did I?
Well, we'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure those were your exact words.
Okay, great.
I feel like I've come across unnecessarily confrontational during this interview.
No. A lot of people feel that way because I generally tend to take a back seat. Do you collect Garfield plushies? Isn't that a fun hobby?
Yeah, it is. I actually really I worked into it from like kind of a backward angle. There was a stage where I was really trying to eat as much tomato paste as I could.
Huh.
And my mother growing up would put the most tomato paste in lasagna.
Okay. All right. I'm seeing the connection.
And so
now.
it just became this thing where like everyone was like making fun of me, calling me Garfield. And then, one thing that leads to another, it's a birthday, it's a holiday, and people start sending you Garfield plushies. And I just leaned into it. But it's really more about getting enough tomato paste in my diet.
And what is the value of getting enough tomato paste?
It's just it's one of those like, it's a constitutional thing, really, for me. It's just my constitution feels better.
I see.
Whether it's the condensed acidic formula of tomato paste, or there's some mineral in there that I'm just craving and needing. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I mean, you're a very in shape, fit looking guy. It seems like whatever you're doing is working.
You can't see my lower half.
Oh no,
Dean.
What's
yeah, it's a massive muffin top.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to suggest that
hanging over the sides of my my legs and
hanging over the sides of your legs.
Chair.
Yeah, just like a muffin top does. So I assume that potentially one day you would want to go into space and have to be the foreman for some of these crews and stuff. Is that something you probably have to be in peak physical condition for? Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. But as things are progressing, and if you've got enough money, we can get you up there and get you back.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if history has taught us anything, it's that people with a lot of money who want to go someplace very dangerous can do so with absolutely no repercussions to their safety.
Very true.
Yeah.
Throw some money at it, and you're bound to be safe.
Sure. So, well, that's great. This is all really exciting, and I look forward to following your progress. I'm assuming that we're talking. They're sending Artemis up there in 2025. I'm assuming we're talking 2025, 2030.
What is that? What's that?
Artemis, the new moon, the moon missions by NASA. Are you aware of them? Are you communicating with them at all? No.
No, this is the first time I'm. Yeah.
You've never heard of the Artemis moon project? No. Okay.
No.
Well, I mean, maybe I'll fill you in on the break here, but
I'm excited. I'm very excited to ask my scientist friends.
Yeah, great. It strikes me that there's absolutely no overlap between your scientists and the scientists at NASA planning on going there. But
yeah, it is surprising. Dean, were you breastfed?
Sorry?
Were you breastfed?
I've never talked to my mother about that because that seems like an embarrassing topic. Why do you ask?
Well, I feel like, I just want to come back to why we need the moon for her elements. And
okay.
Earlier you said, why are we taking? You wouldn't ever ask a baby why they're sucking on their mother's nipple, right? Why are you taking? Why are you taking? Because the mother wants to give.
I see. This explains.
And if I could leave you with any last analogy, it would be she's a giving mother.
Yeah, it makes sense now why you're calling the moon a she, because you're seeing her as the giver of the breast milk of life, being, beryllium or what have you. What we're going to do here, Jared, is we're going to take a quick break, but I'd love you to stick around and as I talk to my second guest, would you do that?
Oh, I'd love to. Will I be on camera the whole time? Can they see me?
Is there anything specific you wanted to do that you didn't want us to watch?
Well, it would just make a difference on what I do.
I think probably we'd keep you around so we could see you. Yeah, that's all right.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good to know.
Okay, great. All right. Well, folks, my second guest today has a fire in his belly to put food in yours. We're going to find out what that means. But first, let's pause and hear a quick word from our sponsor. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, we've been talking to Jared Thunk, CEO of MoonPit Limited, and now I'd like to bring in my second guest, who works for a totally different subsidiary of Hogs with Cooper. He is the Beardo-winning head chef at JILT, the Austin fine dining establishment that has been lauded around the world. His well-established culinary genius has been eclipsed in recent years by liberal media accusations that he treats his employees as subhuman. We'll get his thoughts on that. In his spare time, he one-wheels around Texan cities. Please welcome Eddie Swillbone. Hi, Eddie.
Dean, hello.
Hello. Wow, what an honor to have such an esteemed chef here.
Oh, the honor is mine to be in your presence, sir. I've been a fan of your podcasting, your highlighting of the wonderful things that this Hogswood corporate, whatever the fuck is called. Happy to be aboard.
Well, I'm glad to have you. That's all very kind of you, and I am, as I mentioned before, not an employee. So it's really just a hobby for me, and I'm just a genuine curiosity here. You're this like innovative chef, and really like changed the world of restaurants with your recipes.
Yes, I have, Dean. I've changed the world of restauranting, and I'm going to keep changing it until I can. You've been to JILT, I assume?
Oh no, that's it's far outside my price range, I would say.
Well, then good, frankly. Honestly, we are trying to build something elite.
If I were to go to your restaurant someday, God willing, if I ever get to that socioeconomic tier, what could I expect?
Oh, you can expect the finest of the fine, the most beautiful of the beautiful, and just everything you could possibly want from a fine dining experience. JILT is an acronym, Dean. Did you know it was an acronym?
I did not. What is it an acronym for?
It stands for Just Ingredients Like Tarragon. So what you are to expect are ingredients like tarragon.
Oh, interesting.
Something that you think of as like, that's quite fancy, although it's only $3 at the store.
I see. And when you say like tarragon, does that mean that you don't serve tarragon?
No, yes, exactly. I wouldn't be caught dead serving anything that's only $3 at the store.
I see. So obviously the stuff you're getting is like next level high. You probably fly it in from other places and stuff, right?
Oh yes, of course. We have everything. Every single ingredient is flown in. And when I say it's just ingredients like tarragon, it is so. It's just the ingredients.
So it's a deconstructed menu, is what you're saying.
Deconstructed deconstruction. I'm deconstructing deconstructions.
Is that possible?
You don't understand. You don't understand what I'm accomplishing.
No, I don't. So I really don't, because I think of deconstructing as just like the individual ingredients on a plate rather than putting them together. But you're deconstructing the idea of that.
Yes, precisely. Why would I waste time, hire new employees to open up the boxes that these things come in? You sit down at JILT and you are served with not a fork and a knife and a plate. You have a box and a box cutter, Dean.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay. I have to ask, and now obviously elephant in the room here, I have to ask, are any of these creative decisions based on the fact that you have famously lost a great deal of your staff over the last few years due to allegations that you're abusing them?
I am an innovator, Dean. People believe that innovation comes in different forms. Some
Sure.
have called Albert Einstein an abusive piece of shit.
Have they?
People have called him that. Yes, it's happening all over, Dean.
Everyone's trying to cancel everyone. It's terrible.
Everyone's trying to cancel everyone these days, Dean. And they tried to get Einstein, and they're trying to get me. And what do I have? I have JILT.
Right. And the great thing is, like, sometimes people do their best work when they're put under that kind of pressure. Like, I'm sure Bill Cosby's act is better than it ever has been before, because he's been, he's the coal that's being turned into the diamond by the pressure of cancel culture, right?
Precisely. I saw him in my private dining room the other week.
Oh, really?
I had him for a private performance, and he is as killer as ever. A full hour 45, Dean, mostly on complaining about women speaking, but it is with that certain Cosby charm that we're missing these days.
Wow.
I'm doing the same thing.
What did your guests feel about having an unsolicited hour 45 of Bill Cosby while they ate?
I superglued them to their chairs, Dean. Ooh, they weren't allowed to leave.
Wow.
Now, some may call that abuse, but I call it art. I call it art, Dean Ardenfell.
I see. So that makes sense, because I did read a review that said something about I was glued to my chair, I couldn't leave, but I thought that was just a metaphor.
I put that right on the bill of the restaurant. So I don't understand why people think that's not going to happen.
Right. You'll be glued to your seat.
You'll be glued to your seat. You signed the contract when you walked in the door. You stole fizzy lifting drinks.
Okay, that sounds like something else. But so when people come, are they ever surprised, disappointed? Do you ever get pushback or complaints that, oh, you've given me a box cutter and a box of flour, and you've super glued me to my seat and called it art? Does anyone ever disappointed?
If it isn't clear, Dean, I don't give a single solidifying fuck what any of these freaks think about what I'm presenting to them.
Sure.
I don't listen to feedback. I don't have criticism, because it does not present itself to me.
Right.
Someone just told me what Yelp was yesterday. I just found out this is a thing that is legal in our United States.
It's just
you can have a Yelp review. You can immediately cancel someone.
Sure. Yeah, that's did you happen to take a look at what your Yelp review is?
I took a look at every restaurant that I have ever participated in, and by all miley, holly, golly, molly, folly, I don't believe I have ever seen such a cacophony of nonsense.
Sure. So they were all negative, is that what you're saying?
Every single one, Dean. And that's why I have to keep starting these new restaurants, keep coming up with new ideas, because people don't understand.
And it's nothing to do with you having to move on to other restaurants and start new endeavors. It has nothing to do with the fact that that these restaurants sort of run you out of town because of the way you've mistreated people under
liberal propaganda, Dean. I leave every town as I come in on my one wheel.
Sure, yeah, your one wheel, which I was going to get to, but I guess we'll talk about it now. You have one of those, it's sort of a giant wheel with a skateboard attached kind of thing that you can zoom around on.
Much like I am an innovator for food, for restauranteering, the one wheel has fully innovated movement in general.
It's sort of like
you need to get from A to B. One wheel is all that you need, Dean. Why would I waste time with more?
Sure. It's almost like when I look at it, I'm like, oh, someone took the handlebars off a Segway and turned it sideways. That's kind of the vibe.
Someone saw a Segway and said, too busy.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And you just take that to different cities around Texas and you zoom around on it. That's sort of a hobby.
Yes, of course I do. I max out at 45 miles per hour, Dean. Wow. I'm like a gazelle.
And what are you getting out of it? Are you going from landmark to landmark? Is it just the speed? Are you exploring these cities? What's the hobby?
The hobby is sight, is innovation. Everything is innovation. I'm innovating travel in the sense that I'm doing things that I don't need to do. There's no necessity. There is only JILT and a wheel.
JILT and a wheel. I mean, you certainly when you move, it seems like your whole life and livelihood is sort of dedicated to, how do I say this? Things that don't matter to other people. Is that
precisely, Dean?
Yeah.
But the things that matter, period, that I have decided they do.
Right. Sure. So, getting back to your restaurant here just for a second, I want to know, how is it that you have managed to, and I'm no disrespect here at all, but you must have some critics who absolutely love you, because you have won Beard Awards and Michelin stars at your various restaurants. And to my knowledge, the customers overwhelmingly on Yelp and other places have panned your restaurants and your food. So what
because
what do you
they're
think
worthless.
Sure,
Dean,
people are
an
idiots.
institution. Think of an institution and what it means, what it takes to build an institution. To have that, you have to go from step to step, to thing, to expert, to knowledge.
I'm a little lost. Are you calling yourself an institution?
In a way I am, but I'm saying that getting a Beard Award, getting Michelin stars, these are institutions. These are built upon foundational ideologies of fineness, of elite, what have you. And I obviously give a shit about what they have to think, and I don't give a single solitary fuck what any individual person thinks. Are you an institution?
No, of course not.
Dean?
No, so it doesn't matter what I think, because it really only matters what the top, the very top of the. It's like
exactly.
It's like when you go to Rotten Tomatoes and the Critics Award is always lower than the Audience Award.
Yes, and the critic has never been wrong.
Sure, exactly, right.
Have you seen The Flash?
No, what are the critics saying about that?
I don't know, because I don't read what anyone says, Steve.
Right. I have a hard time picturing you as a movie fan. Do you go to a lot of movies?
Oh, I zoom right in there in my one wheel. I pace right up and down the alleyways the whole time. I only see half the movie.
Like the aisles of the movie theater on your one wheel.
Yes.
I see.
I've been banned by AMC.
Sure, I bet. So do you it does seem like you kind of do what you want, when you want it, where you want it. Does that pose a lot of problems in society for you?
It poses problems for others, not for me. I don't understand why, it doesn't matter.
I guess that was the question I was asking, though. Is it posing problems for other? I guess it. I guess if you don't care.
I don't consider other people.
Right.
I feel like I've made that quite clear.
Yeah, no, it is clear. It's clear to me for sure. And so you don't have any sort of guilt at the fact that, there's a lot of news articles.
I don't have guilt, Dean. I have JILT. Am I right?
I see what you did there. I set you up for that. Well, I'd love to bring my first guest back in and see what he has to say about all this. Maybe he has some thoughts on what we've been talking about. Jared, as a man of science here, what do you think about this restaurant? Is it someplace you'd want to go and check out?
Well, I gotta say, Eddie, it feels like we could be in cahoots. Honestly, the way you're talking about your food and its shelf stability and its dry format would be perfect for the space industry.
You're an innovator just like me, and I cannot wait to sell moon rocks at a restaurant and ignore people when they say it's not edible.
I think that's the spirit right there of an entrepreneur. I like where your head's at.
Well, you've got bringing this moon rock back. You're saying Mother Moon is providing this for your sustenance. That could be a real interesting way to present it on the plate.
God, that is so sweet, Dean. That is so sweet. Can you say that again?
I don't know that I could. I don't think that I could.
Could you say it again? It was very sweet coming out of your lips.
I can say it.
Sure, yeah.
Mommy's milkers are giving us the sweet, sweet moon juice that we crave.
That was essentially the intent of it. Yeah, yeah. So I think we're having all sorts of. I love it when my guests find ways to synchronize and work on things together. I would love that.
Dean, I have a desire to eventually open up a restaurant on the moon.
Absolutely, I would like to pitch you two, the three of us, go on a space capsule flight, and we get sloppy with some milk and some ingredients that Eddie wants to bring in, and we just tumble through the atmosphere for a little bit.
That is Honestly, so perfect. I have a friend who is selling tickets to the moon for $250,000 each. It is a completely unregulated.
Eddie, is this the partially carbon fiber moon capsule that's being designed?
Yes, you drive to the moon with a Nintendo Switch.
Wow, it sounds like nothing could go wrong there. But I mean, I understand. I mean, I really, Jared, this sounds almost like a buddy comedy or something. The three of us tumbling around, drinking mother's milk and eating powder out of a box together on our way to the moon. That sounds like quite an adventure.
Well, if it's a comedy, let's giggle our way all through that experience. Let's take our clothes off and let's have some fun.
Wow. Let's sort of end by talking about what I would love to hear both of your thoughts on what a moon restaurant might look like. If, let's say, Jared was able to get you, Eddie, and all of your equipment up there, what could we expect if tourists finally are able to dine at a JILT on the moon?
Well, it wouldn't be called JILT. It would be called milked.
Milked? That makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine, if you will, a restaurant, beautifully adorned, the most fancy place that you can imagine. And in the center of it, a drill that goes down to the center of the moon to draw its milk. And then you drink directly from the fountain that we build from it.
Wow. Is there milk in the moon?
I think so.
Do we know, Jared?
There's definitely milk in the moon. We know for a fact. It is powdered, so we do have to bring our own source of liquid to hydrate it. But there's milk in our
powdered milk in the moon. I mean, what will we learn next from the interdimensional beings up there?
Well, I'm hard.
You're hard, as we said. I thought you were going to say hungry. You're not hungry. Do you ever get hungry?
I don't get hungry, Dean.
Dean, are you hard?
No, definitely not. No.
We're going to need you to get hard, Dean.
That's another buddy comedy, I think.